Years ago, we had two cats, Button and Todd. We got them as kittens. They were litter mates. Although they looked nearly identical, Button weighed twice as much as Todd, a whopping 16 pounds. But Todd's fur was twice as long as Button's, which made him look about Button's size. One way we could tell them apart was by the sound of their walk. Button, the heavier one, walked with a thump, 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 while Todd, who couldn't retract his claws, always made a tick, tick, tick sound as he roamed the wood floors of our house. Of the two cats, Button was the more social. When company arrived, Todd would hide for the duration of the visit, while Button stuck around and enjoyed our guests, winding around legs, sitting on laps, and purring to encourage attention. More amazing was how social he was outside of our house. For example, he waited at the bus stop each morning with the dozen or so children, and he sat with kids on our front lawn being petted, and he rumbled in the grass with the little waddling ones often ending up squashed beneath them, but never complaining about it. Button visited one house in the neighborhood on a regular basis, spending the evening before being driven home at night. Another neighbor was putting her groceries away one day when she moved the grocery bag and found Button sitting on her countertop. On Halloween, instead of saying, "Trick or treat," local children asked, "Is Button home?" Button was such a nomad that I put a collar on him with a tag that gave his name, our address, and our phone number so that people wouldn't take him to the animal shelter thinking he was a stray. I had to replace his collar once. The old one turned up in our mailbox a few months later, retrieved anonymously from some distant spot. More than once I answered the phone to hear a voice on the other end that was sure we had lost our cat. I always assured them that Button, as I had learned over time, would effortlessly find his way home. He always did. What they didn't realize was that Button came back home several times during the day, only to return again later onto the same stranger's house. Button really knew how to get around. Then, sadly, one day Button got quite sick, and he died at the veterinarian's office a few days later. It was a very sad thing that happened. We anguished over his pain and cried over his loss, and I posted a little tribute to him on my blog to let folks know that Button had passed on. Friends called and sent emails to console us. It seemed so many people knew him. The morning after Button passed was a Saturday. I rose early to get started on my weekend chores and had gone down into the cellar to retrieve something when I heard behind me a familiar thump, thump, thump coming down the cellar stairs. But of course, I knew that Button had died only the day before at the vet's office, so I assumed that it was Todd coming down the stairs, but that his nails, for some reason, weren't making their usual tick, tick, tick on the wood. And then, as pet owners do, I turned to speak to my cat. "Todd, you sound just like your brother," I said. But Todd wasn't there. I was looking at a staircase and a cellar, but no cat. I thought. Todd must have scampered in among those boxes over there before I turned. Then, having found what I was looking for, I went back upstairs and past the dining room where I noticed Todd, curled into a warm ball, sleeping on a dining room chair. Seeing him there, heavily invested in a nap that he certainly didn't just now collapse into, confused me. "That's odd. Didn't he just walk down the cellar stairs?" Well, it doesn't matter. I must have thought I'd heard him coming down the stairs, but I really didn't. I put it out of my mind until an hour or so later. I was standing at the foot of the stairs that led up to the bedrooms when I heard it all again. Only this time, my back wasn't turned, and I was looking straight at the staircase. Thump, 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 starting at the top step, then descending without pause. Thump, 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 one step at a time. I followed the sound, listening with my ears, but knowing with my eyes each stair where an unseen paw landed. Thump, 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 all the way to where I stood at the bottom stair, past my feet and to the front door, and then nothing. In that stillness, I suddenly realized who I'd heard thumping down the cellar steps earlier, and now descending from the upstairs bedrooms to the front door. The neighborhood nomad had found his way back home one last time. Some people say that I have an active mind, that the stairs were just creaking, or it was one of those sounds the house makes when it's settling. But that invisible cascade of thumps coming down the stairs without a cat attached to them, I had never heard it before in our house, and I've never heard it since.